Good morning, and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I'm Fran, and our guest today is George Croom. Welcome, George.
Welcome.
Wonderful to be here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And
And
can you
can you
talk a
talk a
little
little
bit
bit
about
about
what you're doing to make the world a better place? Unmute
Wow,
unmute
that's a
again.
again?
good question. That's a really good question. I don't. So here's the thing. I don't consider myself the type of person that is going about trying to make the world a better place. I think I'm just trying to be a good human being. Um, I work with children a lot. I am currently my sister's caretaker as well. I tend to do a lot of caretaking for a lot of people. Um, but I don't necessarily consider that. I mean, it probably is, but I don't consider that, you know, making the world a better place. I consider that just being a good human being. That's kind of what we all should be doing. My opinion.
What is it you do with children?
So, many things. I am a music director and a director by trade, and a lot of what I do is I work with kids. I teach voice. I direct a lot of shows, especially high school youth group shows. In fact, I just closed one last night, and I'm going to rehearsal this afternoon for another one. Um, I also, in particular, I teach voice with a lot of kids who have, trying to put this delicately, have some emotional issues, ADHD. That's the one I can think of off the top of my head, but a lot of emotional issues, and trying to help them like just cope with the world in tiny little ways. I know for me, coping theater became my coping mechanism. That's how I that's how I processed everything. That's how I kind of got through a lot of the weirdness of my life, and I still do. So I find that sometimes just giving someone a voice to air their issues or to you know live out a certain thing that they don't get to do every day. Um, that helps them. We have a lot of kids in the program I'm working with now. They don't necessarily go into theater. That's not what they do. But to see these kids who come here and they're terrified of their lives, they're terrified of their school. They have no friends at school. They're bullied. They're all of this, and giving them a safe space to be creative and to meet friends. And we are very, my partner there and I, we're very much, there is no such thing as bullying. There is no such thing as, exclusion. We include everybody. We make sure everybody knows that you are welcome, and we make sure everybody is welcoming. And by doing that, I'm just seeing kids like just come out of their shell and grow up and do things. We have kids that are doing anything from they're doing theater, they're working in politics. One young man in particular, I will not say his name, but he holds my heart forever. We had him since he was in fifth grade. He was with our program for the entire, like, through his senior year in college. He never spoke. He never really spoke to us. You know, we kept thinking he's never going to come back. He's never going to come back. He had two left feet. He could not sing. He could not do anything. And gradually, but he came back every year, and he was always the first to volunteer, and he was just so warm and so inviting, and the kids loved him even though he didn't really talk that much. And it's just because he just didn't feel the need to talk. So he graduates. We gave him a small part. We gave him a one liner in 42nd Street, which was like, for him, like the shining achievement of his life. He did that. He goes out. He comes back to us 3 years later. He is now 7 inches taller. He's a Marine,
Wow.
and he had done all of this stuff, and he comes back, and of course, I didn't even recognize him. He was so different. And he comes back, he says, I just want to thank you and Janice because without you, I would never have had the courage to do any of the things I've done since then. So, like,
Boy, I
hearing
better.
stories like that, that's kind of, I know that's what keeps me going. Um, Again, I don't know if I'm making the world a better place. I do hope that I'm making one person at a time a better person. And
Thank you for doing that. But what you are doing by making one person a better person is that person then goes out and interacts with other people, their family, their friends, people they don't know, people they encounter, in their daily lives, and they are a better person. So they do something for those people. And so really, in the end, you are making the world a better place.
And you're doing it the best way by leading by example. Fran and I just spoke about this before you came on, how it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could be holding the door for someone. And you are doing grand gestures. Look what you did. He's a Marine now. He wouldn't talk, and he's a Marine out there protecting all of us. So God bless you.
I have not heard from him in years, but I know every day I pray that he's safe. Um, we have, I mean, God, there are so many success stories I don't want to, I can't attribute them to me. Like, I'm the one that did this, but I can say that I'm a part of that development. Um, I work with a lot of trans youth, which, I'm sorry, it gets me a little emotional because they're under attack right now, and that really, really, certain things get my goat. One of the things my mother always said is, whatever you do, children are innocent. You can have your issues, deal with that. Don't mess with the kids. Now, not all kids are innocent. I'm not going to say that blanket, but you know, these are children who are just trying to figure themselves out, to lead their lives, to find their truth. I don't understand all of this. I'm old, but it's not my generation, it's theirs. So for you to attack them, or for you to just just treat them cruelly, to me is another crime. I was actually almost fired from my job. I teach at the master's school, and I came into words with the dean because of a student, and particularly a student's parent. They were transitioning. They wanted to go by their female name and female gender. The parents sent them to a conversion camp, not once but twice. Their entire summer was in this hardcore conversion camp. They came out, and and they come back to school, and now they're not allowed to live at home. They're now living with a distant aunt in Manhattan. And I'm the one that's helping them, like, with their college applications, helping them to try and get in. And the mother comes from, I believe, Colorado. I think that's where they're from. Comes and confronts me. How dare I'm doing this to her son? And I had to correct him, like, first, her name is, and you shouldn't be doing that. Why aren't you treating your child better? And it just escalated. And I'm saying it very nicely now. That is not how I said it. I will be blunt. That's not how I said it. There were words I shat to use. But I was so offended by her because she had basically come to take her child home. Like, she's not going to college. She's not doing anything. She's going to stay here and kind of hide in this little small town and see no one, which is not what they wanted to do. They wanted to live their life. And we just had this huge fight, and the dean got involved, and it was a whole mess. And I I didn't back. Well, I didn't back down. That's for sure. P.S. They got into college. They went off.
Nice.
And the last time I heard, they were doing very well. They were living in Chicago and doing wonderful, wonderful things, and just and living their life. If that is what you mean by making the world a better place, then yes, now I can kind of see that maybe that is. Um, I don't have that many fights. I'm not political. I am political about that, about children especially.
Well, thank you so much for doing that, especially for trans youth. There are so, like you said, they are absolutely under attack at the moment, especially in certain places. But even before recently, there was, never full acceptance everywhere. And to allow that person to have her voice and to speak, to have that means of expression is a beautiful thing. And the fact that she is now in college and doing what she wants to do, that's wonderful.
Yes.
It's very hard, I think, in especially these times. It's very hard to be good, if that makes any sense. Um, I find it more and more difficult to be kind, um, without some sort of consequence. I find it very difficult to fight these fights because it seems that there are more people and growing on the opposite side. And
They
then
just
yeah, and there's a huge part of me that goes, what? Why is this fight even happening? How does any of this affect you? If you don't like trans, if you don't like trans people, don't be friends with any.
That's
If
right.
you don't want to, if you don't like LGBTQ, don't be. It's that simple. You know, no offense. If you don't like black people or Hispanic people, then don't go to where they are, or remove yourself, or be polite, excuse yourself from the room and walk away. You don't have to be violent. You don't have to attack me. You don't have to attack my belief or my liberty. If a woman wants to have an abortion, that is between them and their God, not you. Especially a man. That's not your, it's not, yes, I am getting political. It's not your, these are not your, it's not your rights. But I don't say this from a political place. I say it simply from a place of, why do
Kind of.
you care? Why is it so important? Is it affecting your life directly right here and right now? It's not. So you can afford to be a good person. You don't want someone, if I didn't want my child to learn a certain subject, I would simply pull them out of the class and say, don't go. I would not ban it for the entire nation.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's, I could, like I said, I could go on and on and on about this, but I think, how do I put this? I think it's so important that people find kindness, people find respect. Um, I don't want to say love because that's easy. That is easy. Um, Respect, kindness, decency. That is what I try to do every day. I treat my kids the same way I treat my adults. I treat them with respect. I treat them with kindness, common sense, decency. It goes such a long way, and I encourage them to do the same. And we do it. The group, like I said, the group I'm working with now is my favorite ACT in Yonkers, Bronxville, just in case. Send your kids there. We love them. We work really hard to make to create a community. Like I said, of inclusion, of respect, of common decency, and we encourage those kids. You go out into the world and you do the same thing. You know, so that was my soapbox.
Well, that is absolutely making the world a better place, especially working with children. But I think especially within the arts, because when I'm really not living in the arts any longer, and I notice a big difference between how we treated each other when we were in the arts and how accepted everyone was and how fine everyone was and how free people felt to be themselves when they were, in the arts. And then you go and you get a job in an office somewhere and you're no longer in the arts, and people are so stifled and, scared and just desperately trying to keep their jobs. So bless you very much for doing what you're doing. The arts are so important, in my opinion.
Right.
They are, though that's changing,
Oh,
unfortunately. That is, um, they want to say that it's accepting, but there are factions that are accepting because they're being told to accept it.
oh,
And now you're slowly finding there are little cracks here or there. I'm not saying overall. Overall, the arts are still way more accepting of anyone and everyone than anyone else. But you'll find that there are little cracks here and there. There are some people who I have worked with who I are not kind for various reasons. Um, there's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of homophobia in theater, which shocks me because where else do the gays go? We go to theater. So we should that should be a part of it. But there is, and I think any institution that says, "Oh, we are free of this," is lying. I think another personal belief. If anyone who comes to me and says, "Oh, well, I'm not racist," you absolutely are. But everyone is. Everyone has something that they're against, something that they don't like, that they don't tolerate. Whether it's I don't like Jews or I don't like blondes. I know some people who will not go out with. I know one guy in particular. He will not date a redhead. And when the girlfriend he had went back to her natural color, which was red, they broke up.
Silly.
wow.
Oh, he was an idiot, an absolute idiot. But that was that's how he felt. He's like, I can't, I don't like it. I don't like it. I can't handle it. Um, everyone has their racism and their idiocies. It's how we as human beings handle that. That I think is the main point. I think we can be better than what we don't like. There are many. Oh, you get me alone. There are many things I no can't handle that. But it doesn't mean I'm going to not be kind to you. It's not going to mean I'm going to treat you with some sort of respect. I may close my door, take 7 steps, and then go, oh, what an asshole. But until that point, you know, but I'm not going to do anything to kind of. I'm not going to ban you from the world. Um, let me ask this question: What do you ladies consider? Um, I had a question. I totally forgot it. as it was coming out of my mouth, I totally lost it. So ignore that. Go on. Let's move on. It'll
All
come
right,
back.
that's fine. No worries. Um, and that is disappointing to hear that the arts are changing in that way, because it seemed so genuine when I was involved with it, in the past. And it's, the acceptance was just, it was beautiful, it was heavenly, it was wonderful. And I really enjoyed it, especially coming from a family that, God bless them, are kind of racist and kind of, if you're not us, you're not good enough, sort of. Um, and then I went to, I got into the theater, and like everybody just was equal and everybody loved everybody. And we were very affectionate with each other. It was great. So I'm really
Yeah,
sorry to hear that it's
I'm
changing.
sure, like I said, I'm sure I'm grossly over exaggerating it. I've just had a few experiences where it's been where when before I've never had those experiences. But there are still issues, and there are people that are going to tell you there are still issues within our industry. Black women especially have it particularly rough. Black and Hispanic and ethnicities in general still aren't represented the way you would think they would be. Um, it's much better on Broadway and in theater than it is. Well, I should say on Broadway than it is in like film, TV and film. But it's a youth oriented business still. If you're over the age of you're not getting a job.
Right.
Um, so we it still has some growth to do, but the whole society has growth to do. And I think if to me, if the rest of the society could just catch up to where Broadway is now, we would be a little more on the road to where we have to be. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
But we can hope.
absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if I answered your question at all, by the way. I
You
just start
did.
talking and it just comes out. So, um, so yeah.
And for as long as I've known you, you've always been one of the most patient people that I know. So even if you don't like a person, that usually I think the person won't know unless you feel like it's important that the person does know.
I'm getting old. They know. Now they know. I'm still polite about it, but they get the message. I've had people come to me and say, "You don't like me, do you?" And I'm like, no, no, I really don't. I'm sorry. I will work with you, but we're not having coffee.
That's
And
right.
P.S. One of those people has now become one of my bestest friends.
Well, what a
What a
great
great
ending.
ending.
Yeah, yeah. We went from just total clashing to one day we were forced to talk, and not about our situation, but just talk in general. And we discovered we had way more in common than we thought, and we had like the same sense of humor. And then gradually over time, it just became like now we talk almost every day.
Oh,
Oh,
I
I
love
love
that.
So I still have no time. I'm still losing my patience because I'm old, but that's okay.
that.
All right. Well, Jewel, do you have any questions?
I always ask, first of all, thank you for everything you're doing, especially with children and being kind and patient, no matter what is going on. It's truly a gift. If there was one thing that you'd like our audience to take away from today, what would it be?
Be kind. Just be kind. Worry about what affects you directly. Do not worry about other people. Do not care about their situation. Do not try to change them in an attempt to make you feel better. Just just be kind and be considerate and realize that it's a large world. There is room for all of us. You can you can close your door as easily as you can open
Beautiful.
I know that was
Perfect.
actually not one thing. That was many things, but it's
No, that was
true.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
All
right.
right.
And
And
George,
George,
if
if
there
there
is
is
somebody
somebody
watching
watching
who
who
wants to
wants to
send their
send their
kids
kids
to
to
you,
you,
how do
how
they
do
do
they do
that?
that?
There are so many ways. Depending, I work with a lot of schools, so that does help. Um, Actors Conservatory Theater of Yonkers, which has been in existence for a whopping 50 years. So excited. I've not been with them for 50 years, but I feel like I've been with them for 50 years. Once a year, we do a youth group performance. We are located in Bronxville. I believe the website is actshows.com. We're located right now, like I said, in Bronxville, New York. Um, our tuition is free. We're one of the few places, actually, the only place I can think of where we are not charging kids to be a part of the program. We try to give you like the most professional. We have professionals that work with us, myself, Janice, our board of directors. We're all theater professionals, and we just give our time to try and give give kids as good an experience as possible. And like I said, our skills, we have some kids who are absolutely fantastic. We have some kids who are there who are like just so quiet and so shy and so timid. And those are the ones that especially my um, choreographer, producer, Janice will say, they're the ones that need us. And she will throw them in the show, and I will go, "Why are they here?" And she'll like, "Because we need it." And then 2 years later, when they keep coming back, we discover, "Oh wait, you have a voice. Oh wait, you can do this." Because they go home and they get that confidence and everything. So that's how you can reach us there. Um, I am on Facebook. I teach private as well, so you can always reach me, via Facebook. That's a great safe space.
And
And
what's
what's
your
your
name
name
on
on
Facebook?
Facebook?
Okay, now I have to look this up. Hold on, because it's not George Croom. It
Right.
Right.
is. I changed it, and I don't remember what it is. Wait, let's go back. Where's my home? Here's home. G.H. Croom.
Perfect.
All
All
right.
right.
Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you
you
very
very
much,
much.
George, for all that you're doing. I really am grateful for you, and I'm grateful that you were on our podcast today. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
No, just thank you. And thank both of you for just giving me at least a small platform to kind of just let people know that I'm here and that there are people, and I know there are thousands of people who are just like us, who just want to just make the world a little bit better one step at a time.
Very
Very
much
much
true.
true.
All
All
right,
right
then.
then.
This
This
has
has
been
been
another
another.
episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran. Please like and our guest, George Croom. Please like and share this video, and please join us again next week. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, George.